Tucked deep within the quiet vaults of the North Dakota State Museum, hidden away from the eyes of casual visitors, lies an artifact so chilling, so macabre, that it transports us back to one of the most infamous and violent episodes in American history, the Battle of Little Bighorn. This gruesome relic, a strip of human skin, once belonged to Isaiah Dorman, an African-American scout and interpreter whose life and brutal death are entwined with the legendary battle. Today, this dark and leather-like fragment serves not only as a grim reminder of Dorman's tragic fate, but also as a poignant symbol of the broader cultural conflicts that shaped the American West in the 19th century. The strip, about 16 inches long and 2 inches wide, is part of the prestigious Berdick collection, a vast repository of Teton Lakota Sioux ethnological materials gathered in the 1920s and 1930s. It stands out from other artifacts in the collection due to the horrifying story it tells, a story of betrayal, death, and cultural collision. This small piece of human flesh, now preserved for generations to come, symbolizes the brutality of the Indian Wars and the tragic fates of those caught in the violent expansion of the American frontier. Isaiah Dorman's life was anything but ordinary. Born free from slavery in a time when such freedoms were rare for African Americans, Dorman charted a path that few would dare to take. As a young man, he worked at Fort Ridgely in Minnesota in 1853, but it was his time living among the Lakota Sioux that shaped his unique role in American history. Immersed in Native American culture, Dorman married a Dakota woman named Celeste Pierre, forging ties that would place him in the middle of two contrasting worlds, one Native, the other American. This dual identity made Dorman a bridge between cultures, a man who could navigate both the complex languages and the deep-seated tensions of his time. During the Civil War, Dorman's abilities as a translator and guide became highly valuable. He served as a personal attendant to General Alfred Sully, accompanying him into battle in Virginia and later traveling with him to Dakota Territory. In 1864, Sully was charged with leading the Northwest Indian Expedition, and Dorman continued his work as a trusted interpreter. His role was more than just linguistic. He was a key figure in facilitating communication between cultures that were often on the brink of violent conflict. But Isaiah Dorman's fate was sealed in 1876 during the infamous Battle of Little Bighorn. On June 25th, Dorman found himself standing with Major Reno's men as they launched a fierce assault on the Sioux and Cheyenne encampment along the Little Bighorn River. Though Dorman's official role was that of an interpreter, the chaotic nature of the battle left him little choice but to fight for his life. As the soldiers found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of native warriors, retreat became the only option. Yet for Dorman and several other civilians, including Charlie Reynolds and George Herendeen, there was no escape. Their horses had been shot down, leaving them stranded in the heat of battle. Private Roman Rutten later recalled seeing Dorman standing tall, firing into the advancing ranks of Sioux warriors as they swept across the battlefield. In the chaos of gunfire, Dorman shouted his final farewell to Rutten, "Goodbye, Rutten," a phrase that still echoes across the pages of history as a testament to his bravery in the face of certain death. Dorman's body was found after the battle, horribly mutilated. His remains bore the marks of unspeakable violence. Arrows pierced his flesh, his limbs were slashed, and he was pounded with pemmican hammers by Sioux women, an act of revenge that symbolized the deep anger and pain of the native tribes. His once ever-present coffee mug, now filled with his own blood, lay beside his body, a haunting detail that underscores the personal tragedies buried within the grander narratives of the Indian Wars. Despite the horror of his death, Isaiah Dorman's story did not end on the battlefield. His wife's niece, Iron Antelope, removed a strip of skin from his body so that the family could later perform a traditional death ceremony to honor him. This act of cultural reverence was a powerful reminder of the deeply spiritual beliefs that governed native life, even in the face of violence and war. The strip was eventually passed down to Iron Antelope's son, Afraid of Lightning, who in 1932 sold it to Usher L. Berdick, a prominent collector of Native American artifacts. Berdick, a lawyer and former lieutenant governor of North Dakota, had grown up near the Fort Totten Sioux Indian Reservation and was fluent in the languages and cultures of the native tribes. His collection, now a key resource for historians and researchers, is invaluable in preserving the stories of the people who lived through these turbulent times. The relic of Isaiah Dorman, however gruesome, offers us more than just a physical connection to a bloody past. It embodies the complex intersections of race, culture, and loyalty in 19th century America. Dorman was not just a man of two worlds. He was a symbol of the intricate relationships between African Americans, Native Americans, and the U.S. military. His life, lived in the space between these cultures, and his brutal death, caught in the crossfire of one of the nation's most infamous battles, forces us to confront the often overlooked narratives of those who lived on the margins of history. Today, this artifact, preserved in the quiet halls of the North Dakota State Museum, stands as a chilling reminder of the costs of war. It compels us to reflect not only on the Battle of Little Bighorn, but also on the broader conflicts that shaped the American West, conflicts over land, identity, and survival. The strip of skin is not merely a gruesome object. It is a testament to the complexities of history, a physical representation of the violence, loss, and sorrow that defined an era. Isaiah Dorman's story is one of bravery, tragedy, and cultural collision. His legacy, preserved through this haunting relic, lives on, reminding us of the personal costs of history and the stories that often go untold.